Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. We are honored to have the one and only Jill P. Carter, Senator, State Senator Jill P. Carter of Maryland. How are you doing today?
I'm good. And thank you for getting the Jill P. I do go by that, but most people say Jill Carter, but I love the B.
No. I do what you write down.
Okay.
It says Jill P. Carter. But anyhow, Senator, let me ask you this first of all. What's your thought about having Netroots, the middle of Baltimore, the most progressive organization in the country?
It's really exciting. I'm super excited that they're here, that Netroots is here. I'm super excited just about Netroots generally, but choosing Baltimore really is inspiring for us here. And I'm hoping some of the progressive policies and spirit will rub off and spread wider in our city. You know, I think we've interviewed before.
I think would it have been in New Orleans maybe?
You want to know what it was?
Where?
In 2019 or 2020, when Elijah Cummings died, I was one of the people in the race to replace him in Congress.
Yes.
You interviewed me in that congressional race.
Yes. I'm looking at the name and I'm like, gosh, I know her. Wow, it's a small world, isn't it? It's a small world. But anyhow, tell me about, first of all, you're now senator though.
Yeah, so I was a senator then. I was 2 years in then, I think. I'm 6 years in now.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
It was a special election.
Right.
Because Congressman Cummings sadly abruptly died.
Yes.
And then there was a special election to replace him.
Yes.
So I didn't do bad in that race though.
No, I know. I mean, a politician never wants to say no, but I know. Of course, why would you do bad? I mean, look, you've been in the House of Delegates. But you know what happens with progressive candidates often, But you know what? It is good to know that we have progressives that's starting to permeate not only the state houses, but also moving up to the federal levels. What does being a progressive mean to you?
So, as my mom told me a long time ago, when I asked her as a kid, why are we Democrats and not Republicans? She said because Democrats generally stand for progress and moving forward.
Right.
Whereas the conservatives, in her view, the Republicans want to stand still, be stagnant, or keep us back to the old policy of the past. And for black people in America, that means be enslaved.
We know what that means. But we don't even have to say in her view, it is the view, right? It is not her view, it is the view. And I mean, I sit back and watch often when whenever a woman, whenever a person of color tells me that they're a conservative, I really want to send a psychiatrist over to them. And I know that's not the politically correct thing to say, but I really don't think they understand the real meaning of what conservatism is. But,
Dr. Cornel West, I think, wrote a long time ago in Race Matters that to be a black Republican is to be schizophrenic.
You gotta be. I mean, and it's not that, I love my Republican friends. I even have MAGA friends. I love them, but they're just wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Yeah.
They're just simply wrong. 100%. And, I don't try to hurt somebody just because they're wrong.
Exactly.
And that's what we have to learn as progressive. But tell me what you brought to your district. What have you brought? Well, I shouldn't even say to district, but to Maryland.
So, I think the questions the answers are different. For the district, we focus every year on what money we can bring for capital improvements and other kinds of things. And of course, we've had some good years.
Right.
This last year wasn't so good. But for a couple of years, especially with the money coming in, from the federal government to states and cities, we were able to bring a lot of resources. I think that's the biggest thing that they want from me in the General Assembly. But I think the overall people, as a Maryland senator, what I've brought is frankly a rarity, which is a person who is free to represent and advocate for the people that are usually silenced in the institution of power. And I'm free for a couple of reasons.
Right.
I was born to a civil rights activist and leader.
Yeah, and your father, everybody knows your father well, yes.
So I didn't really have a choice. It was my DNA, and that's who I am.
Right.
And so I just took that legacy to the General Assembly and never had any confusion. I've never been beholden to a machine or an establishment, always to what I think is right by the people. And that is the thing we need more of, because it's difficult. It's not easy. You have to have a strong
Yes,
core,
yeah.
and you have to believe so strongly in your principles that you are not swayed by the fact that you're not popular with the people you work with.
Exactly. You wonder sometimes why people want to serve. Do they really want to serve the people, or just serve for the title? I mean, you have a great title, State Senator
Sounds good.
Jill P. Carter.
They give us tags.
You get all of that, it's. But the thing about ultimately, you're there to serve. Ultimately, and that's what you're good at. I mean, in fact, you've been called sort of like a rose in the wilderness or something. No, I'm not kidding you.
That, yeah.
I'm not kidding you.
The
lone voice in the wilderness. You've been called the lone voice in the wilderness, and it's true. I mean, we don't have people that really put the people first. It's about who gives me some money first. Who are the door? And they've had this study that they've shown that doesn't matter what the people want. It's the person who gives the money that actually gets the
100%.
vote.
But that money so dominates.
Right.
I've been in politics now for almost 20 years.
Right.
And it is even more prevalent now.
Yeah.
And I want people to understand something so serious. To be considered a viable candidate for Senate in the state race,
Right.
or even a successful senator, you're expected to have a minimum of $300,000 in your campaign account.
Wow.
Really,
For a
many,
state
the high-level
senator.
ones have millions, and then people, oscillate around 5 to 7 that are like the high-ranking ones.
Right.
What people don't know, let me tell you a secret.
Yeah.
The amount of money you have and raise affects your position in the place. Meaning that if you can raise a lot of money and contribute to the caucus, the Democratic caucus or the leadership caucus,
Right.
you're likely to be elevated into
Right.
higher positions within the body. But if you're someone like me, who has struggled always to
Right.
raise money, I got to raise from the people,
Right.
primarily. And in the earlier days, I used to it was so much of a hassle. I was just I'm just going to pay for stuff myself.
Right.
And I didn't have money.
Right.
It wasn't worth.
Throw it on a
getting
credit
the phone
card.
begging
Yeah.
For money. I hate
Yeah.
that. It's really
Yeah.
awful. So anyway, the bottom line is that the more money you have, the more power you amass, even within these legislative bodies.
Well, you know what? I think I still believe in the power of the people. And I here's the funny thing: they're investing a lot of money on TV ads, Facebook ad, and that sort of stuff, right? In a district, I don't know how gerrymandered your district is. I don't know how wide and broad it is, but it's interesting because I've been doing some calculations that prove you could spend a lot less money by hiring a few people who can touch the people flesh and blood and just work it. And there's this stuff called geometric progression, or not even geometric progression, but exponential expansion that you could use and have 10 people talk to 10 people talk to 10 people talk to 10 people. And within 7 levels or so, you've reached your entire base. And I don't see politicians attempting to do that. Now, you're a progressive. I'm pretty sure if somebody comes out with a tool, you'd use something like that.
100%. I love, first of all, the best part of the job.
Right.
I do like the policy work. I like the advocacy, but really I just like the people. And when I go into the district, when I go into the community, and I just talk to regular people that are my voters, people that are residents, it's invigorating because you are reminded that you're not crazy and you're not wrong.
Yes.
They make you think you're crazy.
Right.
When you're advocating for people to have essential things, like I represent Baltimore City. I want them to have water. I want them to not lose their house for a water bill.
Right.
And a tax sale. I want them to, I want us to do right by our communities when it comes to fixing the vestiges of mass incarceration.
Right.
And give people opportunities.
Right.
You can't just let people come out and give them nothing
and have nothing
and
to
say,
do.
You better work or you're going to violate parole, but you can't work because you got a felony conviction.
It makes no sense, right? It is silly. And that's how many of the laws are written, and that's how many of the laws permit private sector corporations to operate as well. And that's what we need. What again? Progressive politicians who can actually see past all these things. Now, before we close here, what do you expect out of the 2024 election?
2024 election, nationally, I expect Biden to win.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I'm not a soothsayer, but I do believe Biden is the nominee, and that's likely the candidate that's going to prevail. I know there's a movement by some people to say, get him out of there. Let's put Kamala or someone
Right.
else in there. I think it's too little time. I think he has won before.
Right.
He is flawed. Everybody's flawed. There's no perfect people. There's no perfect candidates. But I will say that there are things I like about him a lot. One,
Right. Well,
he's 1,000 times, 1,000,000,000 times better than the alternative.
right.
Two, I like the fact that he's lived real life experiences.
Right.
You know, for a long time, it was said that he was the least wealthy member of the
Yes.
Senate. He also has had the loss of a wife, the loss of a child,
So he understands.
and his own child facing facing prison right now.
Right.
And dealing with drug addiction.
Right.
He
So he
really
lived it all.
has had some true lived experiences that are relatable.
Right. And interestingly, as I've spoken to a whole lot of people about, he has provided us with more progressive policies than even look. I think he's a neoliberal, but I think he's given us more progressive policies than
They're all
anybody
neoliberals.
else.
What president has not been a neoliberal that is a Democrat?
Oh man, I love. You know, you're one of the most honest senators I've ever spoken to. You know that? Really? You're one of the most
It gets me in
honest
trouble quite a
politicians.
bit.
Well, you know what? You stay in trouble because you have the progressive media and the progressive space who have your back. Hey, give me a closer.
Thanks so much for the opportunity. Netroots Nation. If you don't know about Netroots Nation, you should know about Netroots Nation. It is the largest collective of progressive organizations and activists in this country. And they chose Baltimore City. We're Baltimore City. That's where we are right now. I thank you so much for the opportunity. And stay true to the mission. Stay true to the mission, because when we organize and we stay in truth, we win.
Senator Jill P. Carter.
Thank you.
Thank you so kindly for giving me
It's
this
a pleasure.
interview.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.